stores are telling me they have seen, and they love what we're doing. That's why we get the attendance that we do, and I think we're the leaders in the state of Massachusetts for doing this so far. Us and Plymouth County are the two that are really cracking down on organized retail crime. Because for 4 years, as you know, before that, it was not prosecuted, and theft was running rampant.
It was bad.
It was bad. People would go carriages out of Marshalls or out of TJ Maxx and just get us better stuff next time. That's how brazen it was. Well, now we don't tolerate that. So that has gone way down. The crime rate should be going down, although we charge more and there are more offenses that are coming out, but we also do diversion more. But because we charge more, it looks like crime rate's going up, but it's not. It's just that we're holding people accountable to what needs to happen. But stores will tell you that their theft rate is going down, and that's my benchmark, and that's my earmark. And the same thing as I look around the community, I just spoke to the nurses and doctors and administrators at BHS. I do States of the Street every year. I speak to the hospital. I want to know what's happening with them. What are they seeing? And they're telling me the same thing. They're seeing fentanyl, just not heroin. So we talk about stuff and we share the information so they're aware of what's happening in the community.
That is so scary and so sad that people would roll the dice with their life like that.
They really do. But the addiction problem, by that time they're addicted to heroin. And they think they're taking heroin, and a lot of times they're not. Now add that to the fact that it's also being introduced as Lycosine, which is like Trank, which is not, you can't use Narcan on it. So what happens on that, xylazine, and when you take that, it expands the high, but it does devastating effects. You can tell people do it because they get scaly skin like a snake, because that's what it does to your skin. But Narcan will not work on it. So if you consume that and there's fentanyl in there and there's Trank, you could die.
You know, I'm old enough now where I've seen the different cycles of different types of drugs hit at different times.
Yes.
You know, I remember when it was crack.
Yeah.
And you'd see different types of behaviors.
Like Richard Pryor in the 80s, right? You remember?
Yes.
He overdosed from that. He caught on fire. That was freebasing and crack, and how things have changed. Cocaine, pure cocaine in the 70s was huge. Then it became crack cocaine in the 80s. And then it became the opioids.
Because they looked for a different, and then I remember maybe 10, 15 years ago, Oxycontins, oxycodone.
Yes. The opioid consequences from all people stealing from grandparents and people's cabinets, medicine cabinets for drugs.
So now you're saying cocaine is what you're seeing make a comeback?
Cocaine is the biggest drug that we see in the county right now.
Wow.
And we're taking off kilos. I'm talking kilos of that. 1,500 grams. It's a lot of
wow.
cocaine. And you've seen it comes in and then it gets cut down into crack. So it still gets cut down into crack, but it comes in as kilos. Usually when we're catching it, luckily we're catching it in a big bulks of it. So we're catching them with still in pure form. So, we're catching a lot of it, and we know now where it's coming from, so we're hitting those locations where it's coming from. So it's important. In the meantime, these lawyers, they're working their butts off. They're winning all their cases. They're doing a great job. Nine murder cases we've resolved in the last 24 months, 2 years. That's a lot. And
now, the Miss Hall's one, too, I just want to touch on that real quick, because that was one you were pretty passionate about, and I think a lot of people didn't think they were going to see that come back around the way it did.
Well, there were problems with it initially. The Pittsfield police did a great investigation. The initial stage had it going, but there were some problems. Obviously, the statute is a poor statute we have in Massachusetts that needs to be amended. We're still trying to get that through, which makes no sense that it's legal for a 16, 17-year-old to have sex with a teacher in Massachusetts. That's right now. That's just insane, unless it's non-consensual. So I have to prove that's non-consensual. And these are groomers, so they groom these kids up when they're 13 and 14 until they hit. And 15 until they get of age, and then they're in this position of trust and authority. Kids can't consent to that, but I have to prove that's not consensual. In this particular case, there was such a pattern there, and so I didn't feel the case was where it should have been in October 2024. We did a more investigation. We had problems with statute of limitation because a lot of these cases statute of limitations would have expired. However, what we did is we contacted Customs in Canada and in the United States, and we found out that he was a dual resident in Canada and was living in Canada for pieces of the time. So we were able to toll the statute of limitations, because in Massachusetts we have a statute that if you leave the state of Massachusetts voluntarily, and that time tolls, so it doesn't count.
So that was an exception with just this particular case that made it possible?
Made it possible, and I wanted to make sure that we had free access to the complaining witnesses, and we got more information, some of which there are more out there that I don't know whether they will. I don't force people to come forward to testify, but I got more information that was convincing to me that there was enough case. It's still it's going to be a hard case, but I still think that I won't bring a case for the victim's sake, I will not bring a case forward unless I've got a solid chance for us to get a guilty. We're going to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I felt that it got to that level. Once I felt it got to that level, I gave the okay. Okay, let's present it to a grand jury. Let's see if they feel the same way I do. Let's see if they're going to find probable cause. So we didn't just charge. We brought it to a grand jury of 23 jurors who made a determination that there was sufficient probable cause. At that time, I felt confident. We never stopped. So people thought we would stop doing. We were working on that entire time, working with customs, working with our police locally, and working with the complaining witnesses, the victims of these cases, survivors of these cases. So we don't give up. And when I said we weren't bringing charges then, it was true because I wasn't satisfied where the case was, but we were able to build the case. I put a team of prosecutors on it, appellate lawyers on it, and we just added some extra resources with some other state troopers and assisted what the police first started doing from Pittsfield Police and built a bigger case. So I felt confident at that point in time, so we were able to do that. These things take time. Things just don't. Everybody expects, in 2026 to have the answers like yesterday.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work. We're not TV. TV shows murder. They see an opening sequence. By the end of the show, it's solved. Right. That doesn't work this way. All these things take time and investigations. And so we do quality work, and we spend a lot of time doing it, and we have to make sure it's done right. But the proof is in the pudding by the convictions that we're getting. We just had a big first-degree conviction. Was it just a week or two ago? Which was huge. A very dangerous man in a domestic abuse case and killed his wife brutally. And he was found guilty of first-degree murder for cruel and atrocious behavior on this woman. Joe Yolano and Amy Winston, both the two lawyers that tried that case, who worked diligently. And not easy to get domestic violence cases convicted because these are cases that people are in relationships with.
That's got to be tough, when you look at it from that perspective, for someone working on a case to get that involved and that engaged and live it for that amount of time and then be able to close that chapter and start all over again with another one.
Yeah, it was funny because when that happened, we did that case and we finished it that day. I was in North Adams, actually at arraignment for the other murder that had just taken place over that weekend. So, here it was. I'm going from one murder we just finished and solved and get a first-degree conviction on to another murder that happened there. Luckily, the murders are, on average, in Berkshire County, it's about one a year, and it's staying at that level. And most of these, you'll notice that they're not shootings anymore. They're not drug-related, gun-related. The ones we've been having are familiar, family relationships. So we've had a lot of those, unfortunately. And that's just heat of passion.
That is scary about the cocaine, though, because
I know.
There's generally high-dollar drugs like that. There's a lot of violence attached to it.
There is. That's why the gun thing is so important to me. We're taking so many guns up the street. I can't even tell you. We're getting a new statewide computer system, which I can't wait till we get it installed so that we can start collecting data. We don't have the systems that we have are so archaic. We got to get stuff up to the 21st century. It's just crazy. So we haven't been able to keep that kind of data. So there's
probably AI stuff that could assist with all that.
Well, you got to be careful with AI because there's a lot of misinformation on AI. A lot of misinformation. 50% of it could be incorrect. So we have a policy of only using AI for fact checking and not for you can't write or anything like that. So I don't allow AI sources other than for you to check grammar and stuff like that. But then you double check. I guess AI is a good tool. It's also a dangerous tool. So we got to be very. And we're worried about that now. Seeing fake stuff coming out.
I had to pay an Easy Pass thing today when I was on the phone with them this morning, and it was AI. And she asked me something, and I forget what I yelled about and said a certain word, and then I hear, "I'm sorry you feel that way."
And you knew it was AI. There's no human reaction.
But there was no option to talk to a person. But
I just think that the new systems we will have coming in. Again, we've been trying to get this system in for 3 years statewide, not just my office. Every state we've had this system that when they installed it 15 years ago was outdated. So now it looks like we're going to have a decent system so that we'll hopefully be able to collect more data. But the battle goes on every day. We've got people in the district court doing their cases. We got people in the superior court doing their cases. But we do a lot of community engagement too.
Well, now this being it is an election year for you, but you are running uncontested.
Yeah, we're on the ballot. The deadlines have passed. Nobody has got on the ballot but myself. We got our 1,400 signatures in April, and we filed right away. And
will there be some public stuff though that people can come and meet you and all that?
I think you know by now, knowing me for 4 years now, you see me everywhere. I was at the West Side Legends picnic on Saturday, over on Dewey Avenue, and it was great. It was a wonderful community event. I'm making sure we're out there. We also give forfeited funds from money we took from drug raids and help fund some of those things. And same with the Christian Center, and same with the bikes. We bought bike helmets, and we give Roots Rising some money with that. And we've also done a lot of grant writing. So I'm in the community. I brought. First thing I did in 2023 is bring us back into the school system. So we've been to every school system going. We do anti-bullying. We also do a lot of internet crime and internet safety. And I'm also doing I also at the same time while we're doing that, James Hull, who does the community, does the organized retail crime, also does the elder fraud and elder abuse. So we go out and speak. I think he just spoke the other night at Kimmel Farms to about 100 people. There. So
and that's unfortunately a big one too.
It is, but we're out there doing that kind of work. So we do a lot of community outreach. I'm in a lot. We set up on First Fridays. We have a booth out there every First Friday. We go to the farmers market. We're there all the time. You'll see me at all over the county. Adams, I'm at the Adams Coffee on the Court. We do most of the major events. I'm usually there if I can make it, but there's so many events. It's a big county.
Right, you're county-wide.
Yeah,
so.
I'm 32 towns. So I try to get, if I can't make it to someone's particular event, it may be that I'm at somebody else's event. And quite frankly, we have to have our own time sometimes too to be away from work. Because this last weekend, for example, it was Saturday. It took up my whole day with doing the West Side Legends. But it's important to me, and my wife is there because she works for Congressman Neal. So you'll see us out there all the time. We'll continue to be visible. I'm always talking to people. I see people at the Big Y on every Friday afternoon, and people know you, and they come up and say hello to you. We're accessible. We talk to everybody, tell them what's going on in the community.
And you often send other people from your office if you can't.
If I can't do it, somebody we always do. We just did a whole thing. We did a Kids for Bowl. We did Big Brothers and Big Sisters. They're just any type of event that's going on. We did the plunge up North Adams. We do a lot of stuff for any type of event that's going on. Stacy Parsons is our community outreach director, and she does a wonderful job of making sure that our office is inclusive with all the things. We'll do something next month for Pride Month because we'll put up our Pride flag on the 1st, and we usually have a speaker in. I had Charles Redden speaking about statistics regarding what we're seeing as it relates to illnesses and deaths in Berkshire County. It's coming from BHS, so I'll bring in lunch for the staff to see this, and we're doing another CPR training in the office and Narcan training. So we do stuff within the office to keep us all well trained and on the go. So we're busy. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of construction going on here now with us.
Yep.
That's expanding, but it's all going well. I can tell you. I hope you feel safer 4 years ago since I met you, because remember when we met in 2022.
The shootings were, I know there was a couple people out there that wanted to, when I covered that and talked about that, but I believe that year, as far as shootings, there was a couple of years there where I've never seen anything like it. It was 1 or 2 a week.
Right, and you look at, that was before. Now we're seeing, if you look at even the overdose rate, it has gone down. Last year we went down by a substantial portion. So our hope is that we're going to keep doing that. But one thing, you're not reading the paper every single day. There's a shooting last night. I'm not going to say it's going to stop all of them because they're out there.
They happen.
But we are taking a lot of guns off the street. It's hard to shoot if you don't have a gun, right?
Right.
Illegal guns. And I have a license to carry. And so I believe, and people have a right to bear arms. So I'm not saying you shouldn't bear arms. A lot of hunters in our community, they're law-abiding, well citizens who have their guns. I'm talking about people who have stolen guns or have manufactured illegal guns with 3D printers, or putting stuff together and putting Sears autos on them, which makes a regular weapon into a fully automatic weapon. We're seeing those devices coming on in. We're seeing hollow point bullets coming in. My job is to get those off the street. We're doing that. We're getting them off the street. So you're not hearing those type of things as you did 4 years ago. And I said I was going to do that. I have done that. I said I was going to get back in the schools. I have done that.
I wanted to touch on that real quick, and then we'll wrap it, because we always say we're going to be short.
I
said
that went over our time already.
I'm sure we did, but that's all right. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
So we talked briefly before we got rolling on this about a new program that put at PHS, I believe.
Yeah, we do grant writing every year, usually between 660 and a million and 100,000 rather, and we've done that for the last 4 years. We brought a lot of money. That money doesn't go to my office. I use that money for other things. Roots Rising is a good example of that. They take kids, regular kids and at-risk kids, and they'll put them to work in the farming communities. That works out great. We do the same thing now with we have our our special reserve officers at the high schools and whatnot that the kids can talk to, but we also we hired 2 clinical licensed social workers under a grant at Pittsfield High School to deal with kids that are in trouble or at risk that may not be in the criminal justice system, may not be in juvenile court, but we see that they're struggling with something. Something's happening at home. We now have clinical social workers in the schools that's provided for grants that our office ran and monitors and getting 2 workers in there. We're going to continue to do that work.
That's huge.
It's huge. And that's same true with what we do with all the teachings we do about internet safety. We've been into almost every school district, and if you haven't and you're listening to this and you want to get us in there, just call our office, speak to Stacy Parsons, and we will get you on the list to get in there and do a presentation. We have a great presentation for kids about internet safety, about the dangers of it, sexting, and about bullying, and also about financial fraud. And we also do, there's a correlation with that, and we do it to the caregivers as well. So we give it to the kids and to the parents. So, and even when I do the DARE programs, and I do them as often as I can, I like that because I see the parents. And you go to a DARE program and there's big graduation. We're seeing big graduations. So kids are taking it. They're using it. And I see the parents and the caregivers that come in there. It's packed. It's my chance to talk to the parents, say, spend 15 minutes with the kids every day. Turn the computer off, turn the radio off, turn everything off, and just spend 15 minutes. Ask them what happened. Don't talk to them. Let them talk to you. I think we can do a lot with listening to our kids and finding out what they need.
Absolutely.
And what's happening.
Being proactive is
proactive.
The first step.
And kids have, you and I grew up, we were out in the streets having fun and out at night. It's so much different now. You've got tablets, you've got fraud on phones, you've got bullying, you've got sexting, you've got drugs. It's just stuff that is just so more in your face than it was when we were kids. So they have to navigate a lot. So they need more help, and we have an obligation and a duty to give it to our kids to make sure that they have the resources to be able to maneuver and go through the difficulties that they have to, that we didn't have to go through. You got to think about all the bullying that goes on, all the social media stuff that goes on, lies and stuff on the internet, and the lack of civility. Just so many things that our kids have to transgress that we didn't.
Yeah,
And
the people who don't like the little hats I wear.
yeah, it's just people should make fun of my shoes. It's like,
but for a kid, that stuff
It's
can be
awful.
traumatizing.
it can lead to suicide and death by suicide. So it's a real problem, and bullying is still a big issue. And plus civility. I said accountability. That's a big word in this office. I should put up signs everywhere because that's what it is. We want everybody to be accountable. But I also believe in civility. We should be treating each other with respect and kindness.
I agree.
That goes a long way. Just open the door for somebody. Say hello to everybody. I try to be nice to everybody when I'm talking to people, and unfortunately you still get a lot of people that they'll show anger and road rage, and you see it in the streets, and you hate to see it. We try to promote civility, and I certainly make sure my lawyers promote civility in the courtroom and everywhere else they are. We treat everybody with respect. Just because somebody ends up in the court system as a defendant doesn't mean they're a bad person. It means that they've run into a bad situation. So we've got to take care of them. There are bad people that we have to put in jail that are criminals that we know that are beyond, unfortunately, beyond the help that we can give. But I believe that dual process of going after the high level criminals and then dealing with the people who've got addictions and mental health problems and whatever it is that brought them to the court. Sometimes it's just domestic relations, stuff that have built up over the years, learned behavior from adults and whatnot, that we have to make sure that we give people treatment and help for that, and that's what we do. And so that's what I said I was going to do 4 years from now. It's what I've done, and I'm happy that it looks like we'll have another 4 years coming up in January to continue to do what we're going to do. I said when I started this I wanted to do 3 terms. What I did the first term was clean up what was the mess was before, and it was a real mess. Straighten it out and getting the office rebuilt and getting it redone. Structurally inside here, it's great. It's well run. It's efficient. People are happy here. You don't hear people getting fired every day, and it's on the news every day. It's people. They like their jobs. They like coming into work, and I'm proud of that. I'm happy about it. It's a good place for me to go. We haven't had the easiest year, but I feel home when I come home to this place because I have great people.
Absolutely, and it's the improvements I think are very noticeable in the
hope so.
community.
Yeah, I hope so. We can't show you everything we're doing because there's so much that we are doing. I mean, if I gave you a list of everything, it would take us, a 2-hour show because there was just so many programming that we have been involved in, that we've done, and that we continue to do. I'm more optimistic about last year. Was a tough year for grants. I'm a little bit more optimistic for next year's grants. Last year, a lot of it was tied to ice, which we couldn't take, nor would I take. I elected not to. That anything was tied to that, I wouldn't take that money because. We have a big immigrant population, and I believe in the rule of law, and I believe that everybody has a right to justice. And particularly, I don't like ICE taking away a defendant that is in a sexual assault case or a child case, and I can't get justice for that family. There's nothing worse than I want to hold those people accountable. I want to put them in jail. If you want to deport them after I put them in jail, fine. But let's go to the trial. Let's get the cases done. But to take them away before these families get justice is just unfortunate. So
That's a side of it you don't often hear about either.
no, because I don't want to see. I understand they want to deport somebody, but we have a charge here, and I want to make sure that we prosecute that charge. We've got somebody really, and we've got probable cause now, and I'm pretty confident we're going to get a conviction on that case. Let's convict that individual, because if we don't do that, we let them go. You don't think they come back to this country? Sure they do. They can get back in, and they'll get back in, or they'll commit another crime in their country. We've had that happen before in other jurisdictions in Massachusetts, where someone was it was a rape case, and the person got sent back to England, and then there was a unfortunate case afterwards. So hold people accountable while we have them here. We built a case, and give victims of crime justice. Nothing worse than not to have your day in court to get justice if somebody hurt you and abused you, and you can't have that justice. So I don't like seeing the federal government taken away from us. Take them all they want after they convict them, but let's get people convicted first.
Well, on that note, we should do more of these, more follow-up.
Anytime you want. I mean,
Because-
I'm available. It's been a busy year, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely.
We obviously we had 2 officer-involved shootings. We've had 3 in the 3 years I've been here. We had a murder in the fall. This just been. It has been a busy time, and we also have been getting our trials done. So we're in good shape. But I make time for you anytime you want, as I do for everybody. So
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Tim.
yeah, it's great to see you again. And like I said, it was 4 years ago when you and I started doing this, and I want you to remind you of the things that I said 4 years ago, and I think you can see now.
Absolutely.
We've come through, and I said what I was going to do, and I did it. And people said, that's when I started the kids' place 33 years ago. People said, you'll never get it off the ground. It's 33 years later. It's still running as a viable, great organization. That's what we're going to do here. And we're going to continue to make the changes that are necessary for Berkshire County. I'm not a negative person. I am a very optimistic person. I believe in the future. I believe we can make big changes here. I believe we can make a big reduction in crime that's happening here. And I think we can make things go forward. So we just need everybody to work together. It's a community. So keep going what we're doing. We'll work on the public safety side. You guys work on the rest of it. And I'm going to try to make sure that...
Maybe we could get another video with me, you, the chief, and the sheriff.
That'd be wonderful. We can do it outside again. Get good weather again.
Yes, and let's see. I think Chief Madalena has hair. The last chief got his head burnt during that interview.
It did. We were outside. It was a hot day, but it was. But I also liked it because we were in, at the Park Square. Our Oval Park Square, but we were at the Park Square doing the interview. It was nice,
Yes,
nice to be out
yes.
there. You usually see me walk around North Street a lot. I'm down North Street, and sometimes on Saturdays I walk around and stop in the stores, stop in the restaurants. You usually see me. We haven't been out much this year because of the tragedies that we faced last year, but we're visible. We're out everywhere.
Well, Tim, thank you again.
Good to see you, Mike.
I appreciate
Pleasure.
it,
Yep.
and we'll do it again soon.
Sounds great.